All right, Rise Urban Nation. I got a little monologue for you. What if the clothes you wear could reflect not just your style, but your values? What if fashion wasn't just about looking good, but about doing good? In the world driven by fast fashion, quick trends, and mass production, today's guest chose a different path. A path rooted in intention, in sustainability, and in purpose. Welcome back to Rise Urban Nation, where we amplify the voices of Black and Pan African entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers shaping the future. I'm your host, Taryell Simmons, and today I'm sitting down with my brother from another mother, and we're sitting down with somebody who's always stylish. I was joking with him in the green room just earlier. He's like, one day I'm gonna surprise you and show up with a t-shirt and flip flops. I was like, that'd be a surprise for everybody. I even Rise Up Nation, if you watching the video, I even put on my jacket today just because I knew this brother's coming. Because every time I see him, he's dressed to the nines, got a jacket, he's really clean cut. CEO of Meraki Allure, a brand redefining what it means to build with care, consciousness, and community. Please help me welcome Mo Cisse.
Man, thank you so much for that beautiful and very thoughtful introduction. I don't take that lightly because we've respected and seen each other throughout San Diego for so many years now. So I don't take it lightly when another local leader speaks any highly of each other. So thank you, man, for having me.
Nah, no, anytime, brother. Anytime, brother. I remember the first time I seen you at an event, and I was like, "Who is that brother?" Like, and you know, I don't know if I'm ashamed to say it, just because you were dressed so sharp. I was like, I wonder if he's the owner of this place. I wonder if he put this event
Uh,
together. Like, who is that brother over there?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
And as cliche as that is, that's
Hmm.
usually how it is. Like when you're dressed
Yep.
so nicely
Yeah.
in the event,
Hmm.
people often wondering, like, is this person
Hmm.
the reason why we're all here? Does he own this thing, right? But we'll talk about that more in the show because I know you've been, you do this with intent and in purpose. I've seen some of your social media clips where you even talk about, like, dress how you want to be addressed,
Thank
and
you.
I love that, like,
Yeah.
in your marketing message. But let me dial it back a little bit. I
Hmm.
want to start with the heart of your brand,
Mm,
because Meraki Allure isn't just fashion; it's philosophy.
hmm.
What inspired you to start Meraki Allure, and what does Meraki mean to you personally?
Yeah, thank you so much for starting at the root of things because you and I both share deep roots, ancestry from being from Africa and so many other things. So I appreciate you starting with the foundation of things.
Hmm.
So for the audience listening, I'm an immigrant. I'm originally from Guinea, West Africa. I came to America when I was 12 years old, so a long time ago. Um, and when I came to America, the short version of the story is I got bullied a lot in sixth grade for not speaking English because French is my first language. So you, Terrell, you know all the African jokes. You know, we walk around with no
Hmm.
clothes, we African booty scratcher, whatever the crazy titles
Yeah.
are that people give to immigrants, especially African immigrants. So that to me was one of the hardest years of my life is that first year in America because I had to learn English cold turkey as French is my
Hmm.
first language. But fast forward to high school and college, I noticed that every time I dressed nicer, people actually treated me better with more respect, which actually
Hmm.
ties into your introduction about your impression of when you first saw me at that event, the level of respect that that demanded in that room without me even meeting you or talking to you. So long story short, by the time I got to college, I started becoming a personal stylist as a hobby. I would take men
Hmm.
and women shopping and help them build their confidence by dressing the part. And fast forward another 10 years, in 2015, two of those clients that I had sat me down in Carlsbad, San Diego, had an intervention with me, telling me that I need to take fashion more seriously. So thankfully, I listened. And in 2016, we launched Meraki Allure with the intention to eventually become a global leader in sustainable fashion for men and women. And the word Meraki itself, it's a Greek word. It means to do something with love, to put a piece of yourself in your work. So for everyone
Mm,
listening to this, it could be as simple as when you do a podcast host like Taryell, you put your heart into it, you really try to align with the right people, or you're a chef. You want to make sure that you're cooking meals that truly are made with love. We all know the difference between food that's just made up randomly versus food that's made with love. So truly, the Greeks have a really powerful association with the word Meraki because it's ingrained in their culture that whatever you
mm.
do it with love, do it with passion. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm like, as somebody that grew up Nigerian,
Mm-hmm.
although I was born here, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to learn English. We still got the jokes too.
Yeah.
African booty scratching,
Yeah.
like, oh, like did dad come from huts? And then, but I think for me, it's been lovely to see. I don't know how you feel now, but I
Mm-hmm.
see now
Mm-hmm.
that there's more embracing of
Mm-hmm.
African
Mm-hmm.
culture
Mm-hmm.
and, and
Yeah.
Black American society
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and it's like almost, oh man, I need to get that new African fit,
Yeah.
or have you heard that new Burna Boy, or yeah,
Yeah.
like now, like this new generation
Yeah.
of Africans
Yeah.
who grow up here, they don't connect with me and you in a way the same way. Their struggles is different. They don't
Yeah.
have the same struggles we had.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I agree with
Like,
that observation. You are 100% right. And the nearly 30 years that I've been in America, this is the first time I've seen Americans, Black Americans, become open to African culture. But I think it's
mm,
also good news for Africa because there's so many different research and things that's pointing to that the future of the world is in Africa. So it's no longer this old ancestry factor, it's becoming the cool factor, like you said, to visit
mhm.
Africa. There's now, this is in all the years I've been here, this is the first time I've seen so many Americans visit Africa for different reasons. So I'm grateful that, although it took some time, but I'm grateful we're moving in the right direction.
Nah, I'm even seeing in the fashion world,
Hmm.
the homage and the move to African fabrics,
Hmm.
colors, and so forth.
Yeah.
Another young lady, I don't know if you know her. She's man, what's her name? Joanne,
Hmm.
who does Climate and Co.
Hmm.
She had an event like a year or two ago, and she
Hmm.
was talking about how
Hmm.
United Airlines,
Hmm.
all of the design structure of the clothing and so
Hmm.
forth, and some of the how they did the patterns of
Hmm.
some of the VIP sections of their plane was all African print design and
Wow,
textiles.
that's powerful. That's major. I had no idea.
And there's a lot of fashion industry now that is also emulating,
Yeah.
like some of your biggest brands have emulate
Oh, that's
and
true.
taken from
Oh, yeah.
African culture, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so from your lens, what are you seeing in the fashion industry that doesn't sit right with you when you look at like how there's so much borrowed from the different motherlands and used?
Yeah, you're hitting on a very, very important and profound topic, which is it's a fact now. Thank God to social media and so many different influencers are lifting the veil and showing that a lot of these big brands have borrowed their logo or patterns from different African tribes, which is crazy, but it's true. But the second part of it is it's cool to see that more brands are also choosing to be more environmentally conscious. So, for the audience
Hmm.
listening here, because I didn't know this either when we first launched our company 10 years ago, is that fashion is number two or number three of the most wasteful industries in the world. And
Mm.
this is next to the oil industry.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you guys listening, you might be old enough to remember that when you were growing up, new clothes only came out 4 times a year to follow
Mm-hmm.
the seasons of the year, 4 times a year. But now fashion brands are producing new clothes almost on a weekly basis,
Mm-hmm.
almost on a weekly basis. So you can only imagine what that does to farmers and the environment. Even the extra clothes that used to get shipped to third world countries, now that's being overloaded. These third world countries are not even able to consume the amount of waste that we're creating. So
Wow.
some companies are actually burning excess clothes or they're putting them in landfills. So this ripple effect of instead of producing new clothes 4 times a year, you're doing it on a weekly basis. That's where the whole fast fashion industry, unfortunately, thrives from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sad.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
being that there's so many people in the world that could use that, and
Exactly.
we're choosing to burn
Exactly.
instead of
Oh
like
yeah.
seeing how we can reuse and
Hmm.
recycle and so forth.
Yeah.
So is that what made you really get into the sustainability piece? Why sustainability as a foundation?
Exactly. Thank you for that question. To me, also being from Guinea, West Africa, I already know what it's like for big companies to take advantage of third world countries. So for me to have decided to go the fast fashion route would be detrimental to where I come from,
Mhm.
you know. But also for me, at this stage in my life, I'm not in my 20s anymore. Whatever I do for the rest of my life, I want to make sure that it actually adds value to humanity. So whether it's a simple conversation like we're having right now, or whatever business or endeavor I choose to attach my name to, I need to make sure that it elevates or impacts humanity in a positive way. So when we were doing the research to launch this company 10 years ago, and I saw the research on fast fashion, I was like, man, I can't sleep at night knowing
Mhm.
that I'm a part of the problem instead of part of the solution.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Because you're one of the very few that I know that's intentionally choosing to look at humanity and legacy and choosing that as purpose over profit,
Yeah.
especially in fashion. And that's
Mhm.
not an easy route to take, but you're doing it, brother.
Thank
And we
you.
appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Now you're welcome. Let's talk about the real journey. You
Hmm.
chose to build
Hmm.
a brand that's sustainable,
Hmm.
made to order, and environmentally conscious,
Hmm.
in an industry built on speed and
Oh
scale.
yeah.
What are some of would you say, like the biggest challenges you faced early on in that?
Yeah, another beautiful question. I think the challenge is when you're first starting out in this industry, it can be very intimidating because the companies that are in the fast fashion lane, they tend to grow faster,
Hmm.
because they're using a lot cheaper products, and they make it very appealing because when you go shopping at your mall or your any store, everything on the mannequins looks sexy, it looks nice. You cannot imagine the dark side of where the clothes were made in the factory. It's hard to
Hmm.
tie the two. That's why it's
Hmm.
important for us as consumer to get educated, watch the documentaries, and support some of the other businesses that are trying to make a difference. But when you go shopping at the store, everything looks nice and sexy. You cannot imagine the dark side of it, you know? So for
Yeah.
us in the beginning, it was a lot of no's. Some of the manufacturers didn't even want to work with us because we weren't ordering thousands of pieces at a time. They'll tell us literally,
Hmm.
come back when you're bigger, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, does that make it harder to find the right manufacturers?
Yeah, it makes it harder in the sense that some of the manufacturers you might want to work with as a new brand, they're going to say no to you unless you got big pockets and then you're going to order thousands of pieces at a time. So for me, it took some time, but I'm grateful now after 10 years, we have some solid relationships with manufacturers that are very environmentally conscious. There's no child labor. They're not
Hmm.
like doing all of these crazy factory conditions. So it takes time. But to me, again, this is why, as an entrepreneur, similar to you, I'm really big on what's your why for doing something. Because if
Mm,
profits is the priority, it's going to potentially lead to taking shortcuts in certain things. But if your
mm,
priority, your why, is based on making lasting impact and making a difference, it's going to affect your decision making pattern, you know?
mm-hmm.
So, for anyone
That,
listening that's looking to go into this industry or any other industry, let's start with what's your true intention for doing that thing? Like, is it a popularity contest that you're in? Or is it a
mm,
value based route that you're going? Because depending on which lane you choose, that's going to have a dramatic impact and how you make decisions, and more importantly, how long you stay in the game.
nah. And which route you take, especially if you're going into fashion.
Exactly.
And I think something that has a really strong value based that's trying to make long lasting impact is like, it's really hard to lean into fast fashion, so to
Hmm.
speak, when if your true goal is humanity and long impact and so forth.
Yeah.
I think so. I want to make sure my listeners has a
Yeah.
good understanding of what I think we got a good understanding of what fast fashion is,
Yeah.
but could you educate our customers on slow fashion and what is it and how does it work? What is
Yeah.
slow fashion?
So slow fashion or sustainable fashion has so many layers, from manufacturing to the type of packaging that you use, all the way to, do you burn excess clothes, or are most of your products made to order? Because if you're
Mm-hmm,
focused on high volume, you're gonna just produce, and then whatever's left over, you're either gonna burn it or donate it or whatever else parameters you may have. So,
mm-hmm,
being environmentally conscious for a fashion brand, number one, means how are the clothes made? What kind of products or dyes are you using in your production?
mm-hmm,
So for us, we're still not 100% where we want to be, but the goal is, we can proudly say, in 10 years of being in business, we've never burned excess clothes. Most of our
mm-hmm,
stuff is made to order. So
mm-hmm,
the other part of it is similar to the quality jacket that you're wearing, is using more natural fibers, like wool, cotton, silk, linen, and things like that, versus synthetic products like polyester, rayon, or some of those, all of those different synthetic products. The challenges in fashion, one of the reasons why polyester is so popular is because it's a plastic particle, basically. You can use
mm-hmm,
this thing to create any type of color, any type of pattern, any type. So it's very,
mm-hmm,
it has a lot of benefits. That's why it's so popular. So for us, we're trying really our best to slowly reduce the amount of synthetic products that we use, and use more natural fibers, like cotton, wool, linen, and silk, and things like that. Because what I love about the world that we're in right now, of course, nothing is perfect. But the good news is that there's a lot of research that's starting to show that even on an energetic level, when you wear
mm-hmm.
natural fibers, it vibrates differently than synthetic products.
I was just about to say
Hmm.
that because I was reading an article about that, how
Hmm.
there is a return back to cotton, at least
Hmm.
organic
Hmm.
cotton, because synthetic products,
Hmm.
not only does it hurts your
Yep.
inner your vibration and
Hmm.
energy frequency,
Hmm.
it can hurt your health in long runs because sometimes some synthetic products can seep into the pores of your skin,
Exactly.
leading to cancer and other things of that
Exactly.
nature.
Exactly. And
But
it's becoming really alarming recently, because when women wear these tights leggings to go work out at the gym, you're sweating, and these
mhm,
synthetic particles get stuck to your pores and things while you're working out. So it's becoming more of an issue, because leggings have become this thing that people wear in so many
mhm,
different environments. So I'm grateful that we are living in a time where science is starting to produce, things are really a no-brainer. I mean, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's not a complete surprise that natural fibers are better for your health. It's kind of like telling
Mhm.
someone, trying to convince someone why organic food is better than processed food. I mean, it's not a big shocker that something that's grown naturally is going to be better for your health than something that's grown with a bunch of hormones uh, and, and different
Yeah.
negative attributes, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious because how do you do it? Like, how do you in the world that's so fast paced with
Mm-hmm.
not just with fashion, but if anything, but
Mm-hmm.
speaking strictly to fashion and your mission,
Mm-hmm.
how do you really, manage costs
Mm-hmm.
versus staying true to your mission?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, do you ever sometimes feel pressure
Mm-hmm.
to like compromise your value so you could grow faster?
Yeah. No, it's a true battle. And for anyone listening to this that's looking to get into entrepreneurship or you're already an entrepreneur, um, knowing your lane and sticking to it, it's so important early on. One of the biggest mistakes that we made in the beginning is we thought that all of our family and friends were our ideal clientele.
Mm,
Know your customer really fast.
hmm.
Know your customer really fast or really soon,
Yeah.
because if you don't, you're gonna end up spending all of this time and energy trying to chase all of these people that may not be your ideal clientele, you know?
Yeah.
So for us, one of the key components is we've been really focused on a relationship based business model versus like the traditional retail model where it's just like a revolving door to the next customer. So for us, when we connect with a client and build that trust with them, and we even consult with them because we do a lot of personal styling, which we call image consultation. So anywhere from college students trying to get their first job or executives or business owners, we can actually come in and help you redo your whole image from haircuts all the way down to the type of shoes and accessories you should wear. Because again, my background is in personal styling for the last 20 years. So we incorporate those parts of it. So to answer your question, when we build these relationships with people and they build a trust with us, now they're recommending us for their weddings or for their job interviews or for special events. So it's more of a repeat customer business base instead of
Hmm.
just a one-time transaction and focus on volume. And that's a lot of
Yeah.
years of learning. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I'm over here even thinking about what you were saying.
Hmm.
I know your ideal client, or what I think could be your ideal client, because
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go over here and assume that I know your business that well, but like from you saying that, what made me think is because I'm an executive that goes to a
Yeah.
lot of different
Hmm.
galas and
Oh yeah.
functions, right?
Hmm.
And I didn't have to do this until I got promoted into an executive role,
Yeah.
and then I realized very quickly that as many galas and functions that I have to show up in and pictures, you like I need to expand my dress wardrobe,
Yeah.
because like you start seeing like, oh, it looks like I wore that same outfit for this event and that event and that event. Okay.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I quickly had to learn I had to get a couple more suits. And so
Yeah.
I stole something from I saw Steve Harvey
Yep.
posted something on
Exactly.
like he's like,
Oh
you
yeah.
need to have
Mm.
these 5 different
Mm-hmm.
suits,
Yeah.
and then you can rematch the
Yeah.
coordinations. The tag goes with the
Yeah.
black goes with the blue, the tag goes with the blue, and
Oh yeah.
you like, and then so like now I got a little more suits in the collection, and then people are like, man, your wardrobe like bill and it must be expensive. Like
Exactly.
every time I see you in do it, I was like, actually, I just switched up the jacket and the pants and the shirt. So
Yeah.
and sometimes I do a turtleneck
Yeah.
instead of the suit and tie, and then the bow tie. So I'm doing different combinations.
Hmm.
So every time it looks different.
That's what I call timeless wisdom right there. That's
But,
timeless wisdom. It's something that can apply to the kids of today, can something that can apply to executives like yourself. But it's timeless because it's truth. And that's also the other thing about that I love about what we do is that that thing that Steve Harvey says, when you feel good, you do good. Like in my opinion, it's the cheapest way and quickest way to build someone's confidence. Like dress them
hmm.
up. Anyone listening to this right now, if you're going through a tough day or tough week, whatever it is, Go treat yourself, wear your best outfit, go for a walk, go see it at a coffee shop, and just see how the world interacts with you. It's the one of my favorite games to play with clients is just see how
Mhm.
you feel when you dress. You don't let's not wait for special occasions, you know? And this is something I talk to my sisters a lot about is don't wait for these big occasions to treat yourself, to feel good, because
Mhm.
number one, you do it for you. But number two,
Yeah.
watch how the world reacts with you, especially when you look like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, exactly, and that's real. And then you know, to add to your point, like when I start having to dress up more,
Hmm.
I felt more confident, and
Hmm.
I my attitude for
Hmm.
success had a different mind frame, like
Yeah.
because I'm dressed apart
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people want success, but not everybody's willing to stand on the principle of what it
Yeah.
costs for something. Like,
Hmm.
because even dressing up, like I could have got like a cheap suit off the rack,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
when I did it intentfully
Yeah.
and like I like get the suit tailored
Yeah.
and tucked in, I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
"Oh man, this is making me look like I was been in the gym and I haven't." Instead of just like grabbing the first one off the rack and it kind of fits but it don't fit. Like, like
Yep.
once I got started taking it and then take it to like Nordstrom's rack, get it tailored,
Yep.
it changes the whole, and then people think, "Oh man, he must have spent the arm and leg. That looks
Hmm.
like it's tailored, right?"
That's another
Really?
timeless wisdom you're sharing with the audience right now is outside of the name brand or these fancy marketing, the two things you pay for in fashion, ladies and gentlemen. Number one is the right fit. How well
Uh-huh.
is that piece of clothing fitting you? That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is the quality of the fabric. Just like we talked about
Mm,
earlier, synthetic fabrics versus natural fibers. But outside of the name brands and marketing, those are the two things that everyone can pay attention to. You can literally take an older suit, get it retailored, get it fitting you the right way, hugging your body the right way, and all of a sudden,
mhm.
it makes a big difference.
It does,
So
it
I'm
does.
glad that you brought that up because that's another timeless wisdom for people listening is making sure that the things that you wear fit you properly. It can make a
Mm,
shorter guy look like a taller guy. It can look someone that's heavier set look slimmer, wearing the right colors and the right fit. So it's
man.
and it's a universal thing. I can't tell you how many times I've been here in the US or overseas or visiting Africa and I'm just sitting somewhere at a coffee shop, Terrell, and someone taps you on the shoulder or compliments you. And that sometimes leads to genuine friendships or business. You never know. But just
Man.
because of the way you carried yourself.
Exactly, exactly. I'm curious to know, do you have a favorite color palette? Because I feel like all the colors I see you wear matches your palette. Is there does everybody, well, let me rewind the question. Is there Should everybody have a certain color palette that works for them? Like when you look at somebody, is there certain color palettes that just don't work well for people, and there's certain color palettes that do, and you need to accentuate the color palettes?
Yeah, that's another great question. I think one of the things we teach our clients when we're consulting with them, it is important for you to figure out what works for you. Obviously, if you don't know how to, we can help with that. But one of the tricks, another timeless wisdom for our industry, for people listening, is know the difference between style and fashion.
Mm.
Style,
What's the difference?
exactly. Style is personal to you, Terrell.
Okay.
That's who Terrell is. He's a professional, he's an executive. That's completely different if I'm talking to a 20-year-old Terrell.
Mm.
Completely
Okay.
different. If he's a college student or he hasn't gotten his first job yet, or if he's not a parent or he's a bachelor, he's not even married, we're gonna have a different conversation about that person's wardrobe. So style
Mhm.
is personal to who you are. So when I talk to our clients, I tell them all the time that my job is not to make you look like Mo. Not everybody needs to walk
Yeah.
around with the suits and things that I wear, unless it
Right.
aligns with where you are in life right now. But fashion is what you're sold through magazines and trends every single season. Sometimes we can
Mm-hmm.
incorporate trendy things from fashion into our personal style, but your personal style should always be
Mm-hmm.
priority because it's personal to you. So that's the importance
Mm-hmm.
between the two, is that fashion is what you're sold into trends and magazines every season, but style is personal to who you are. So if I'm talking to a
Mm-hmm.
mom who's an executive, I'm going to have a different conversation with her than a single lady that just got out of college and trying to build her career. So back to your
Ah,
question, the palettes does matter, because sometimes, actually, this happens too much. What tends to happen a lot is someone will see something on a mannequin or a social media post. They're like, "Oh my god, it looks good on the mannequin. That means I should. It will probably look good on me." Not necessarily so. Not
yeah,
necessarily. So you went back to the question about me and my palette. For me, because of my beautiful dark skin tone,
yeah,
we get away with a lot more colors than someone that doesn't have our
right,
skin tone. I mean, I wear pink, I wear forest green. I've pushed my own limit to see how many colors I can get away with. That doesn't
right.
mean that someone that's light skinned doesn't get away with same colors. It depends on their body and their proportion. But those are all the things that come into play when you're building your palette of colors. Is, your body type, your shape, your color, and things like that. But yeah, to answer your question, it's important for people to take a little bit of time to figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I seen this man dressed in a lot of rich colors and textures. Like his color and texture palette is wow, it's on point. I was
Thank
like, man,
you.
my skin chocolate enough to pull that off? Like I be looking at him like the mannequin in the stars. Like I wonder if I could pull that off.
Absolutely, you can, sir.
I was
Absolutely,
like,
you
I might
can.
have to mimic that at my next. I actually, you wore this textured suit one day, that I think is red, like a red velvet,
Oh
and
yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
yeah,
looking for that
yeah,
today, but I didn't find one. I found a black one though, and
yeah,
I finally found a black one
yeah,
that mimics your red texture,
yeah.
and that boy that had me looking
Oh
like a
yeah,
$1,000,000. I was like, thank you,
yeah.
Mo, because I was looking for this thing because of you.
I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Now
man.
let's talk about what makes Meraki Allure different. This made to order,
Hmm.
no waste, environmentally conscious manufacturing. I also saw that you have a tree planting with every purchase. Is that true?
Yeah, so with our custom clothes, these are the clothes that basically are our natural fibers. They're basically to your measurements. This is like over 21 different measurement points on your body. Our custom process takes about 6 weeks to create pieces for you. So yes, we did partner with a company to really expand our commitment to being environmentally conscious, with planting trees and things like that, because fast fashion is growing at such a rapid rate that it's affecting the
Hmm.
environment. So we want to again do our best to be part of the solution.
Now, how does one do that? How do you fit planting a tree and all these other things into a business model that aligns profit with purpose? How does one do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, luckily, as you can imagine, when you're running a business, you're wearing way too many hats. So, luckily, this is a partnership with an organization that does it. So, we're not the ones
Mm,
physically managing planting the trees and things like that. So, it's a partnership that we did with one of our manufacturers out of Canada, actually. And they are the
gotcha.
ones that do the planting and basically follow through with that commitment.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, what's your role, um in not just in the partnership for the trees,
Hmm.
but like, making sure everything's made to order
Hmm.
over bulk inventory, making sure you're getting
Yeah.
quality and scaling. What's the role that you play in all of those necessary partnerships in your business model to make sure those things happen?
Yeah, I love that question. So here's something that you probably know of already because you've networked so many years similar to me, is one of the things that we look for when we choose to work with a certain factory, we're looking for LEED certification.
Mm,
You may have seen this term, even some apartment buildings and commercial buildings in San Diego have this certification, meaning they're using renewable energy and things like that. So that is one of the major certification we look for when we're looking for the right manufacturer, to know that they're committed to being environmentally conscious. Are they recycling their waste? Are they how they're using their power and things like that? So
Nice.
that is one of the things that we look for before we partner with certain manufacturers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you got to see a moment of like where this you saw a successful impact on your brand, either with a customer
Mhm.
or through I don't know, one of your many partners,
Mhm.
through your environmental efforts? Have you gotten to see those
Yeah.
moments yet?
So one of my favorite moments that happened recently, as you know, Terrell, I'm a new dad. So our baby girl is only two.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I'm slowly working my way closer to you. You know, I'm working my way.
Well, hey, go, hey, listen. Anything that not that I got much more to give you as far as wisdom, but as a girl dad, I can tell you
Yes,
it's the most beautiful,
yes,
lovely thing you can go through. There will
yeah,
be some days of
yeah,
learning and growth, but
absolutely. Just like
it's
anything
all
else.
beautiful.
Yeah.
There.
So yeah, as a new dad, one of the beautiful things that happened before our baby girl came to life in January. So in October, one of our favorite partnerships we have is with a dating coach. This lady is amazing.
Uh-huh.
She works with executives from different big companies, from Tesla to Google. So she works with men. She helps them establish quality relationships. So my role in this partnership, she does the dating side. My role is to come in and dress them for their dates. So
Nice.
this partnership has been going on for almost 6 years, and it's one of my favorite because I love, again, as I've said, my mission is to help elevate people's lives. I love anything that can really make a lasting impact on people. So one of our clients from this partnership lives in Columbus, Ohio. He flew me out to work with him. So I spent 2 days with him, took him shopping, got him a new haircut, got him all the way down to like what type of wallet this man should have, you know, to
Ah,
the type of shoes. So he was freaking out because I was helping him save money, get clothes that he can use for multiple occasions, similar to you. You can kind of
right.
interchange clothes. So he was really like blown away by how one piece of clothing can be used for like three, four, five different outfits.
Uh,
While still saving some money. So that was one of my favorite recent collaborations through the partnership because I can see it in real life, like someone's
mhm.
confidence rising, even to the point of me teaching this guy like how to walk with more confidence in his outfit. So yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing, and he's never had a custom outfit before, so we just shipped him his first custom all black suit. So
Mm,
yeah, man, it's a
I
blessing.
love it.
It's a blessing. Yeah.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love these stories
Yeah.
when they come to fruition.
Yes.
Um, how is it? How Because I think in today's society, is a lot of customers are having brand loyalty with organizations that really align with their values, and they're looking and searching for. At
Hmm.
least I believe that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, in your own opinion, how important is it for customers today to align with brands that reflect their values?
Yeah. In my own opinion of after being in this industry for so long, is that whether it's politically, I mean, sorry, English second language, whether it's politically or socially, the world is going through so much right now that I feel like
Mm,
people are craving for more authenticity. They're craving for more connection. They're craving for things that are more than just in surface level. So I don't care if it's from the quality of the food that you're consuming or needing a mental break from what's happening in the news. So, in my opinion, the more people find things that align with their values, the better for them because they feel like they're part of something that's bigger. Just like us
yeah.
supporting that tree planting partnership, it makes us more excited to sell the next suit, to do the next thing because we know that it has a longer ripple effect than just making money.
Yeah, yeah, and I think people buy into some of those values and missions
Yeah.
as well
Hmm.
when they see their favorite
Oh
organization or
yeah.
company or advisor do it right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I think at the end of the day, you're not just selling clothing. You're aligning to a bigger mission and purpose that people want to be a part of, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And you're and also you're helping people show up differently in the world, right? This
Exactly.
because I show up with one of your pieces of clothing, I'm showing up differently,
Yeah.
not just because I look good,
Yeah.
because it's aligned to something that's bigger than myself.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
think I just recorded this video a couple of days ago for our YouTube channel. We've been growing that channel for a bit. And I was talking about what word are you pursuing in life right now? What is the
Mm,
intention that you're really looking to manifest? And for me, the word alignment is basically the highlight of my 30s because I just entered my fourth decade of my life. So now it's a different word. I'm looking for a different type of freedom, things that could be fulfilling. But the way I can summarize my 30s is looking for more alignment, alignment with the quality of my friendships, alignment with the type of clients I get to work with, alignment with the different opportunities that I'm looking to be involved in. So when you say
mm,
that word, it's like another fundamental thing that really describes what our intention is with the world, you know?
I love that.
Hmm.
All right, let's bring it home for our listeners, and
Hmm.
I think I want to take us through entrepreneurship, identity, and
Yeah.
legacy.
Hmm.
Um, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned on entrepreneurship
Hmm.
on your well, let's say on your entrepreneurship journey
Yeah.
because you've been at this for some time now. What are some of the biggest lessons you can give to somebody who's probably going to hear this and they're going to be like, oh, I've been talking about starting this fashion line for some time now, but I wanted to be intentful and purpose,
Yeah.
like 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 my guy. But uh, in doing that, just share some, those biggest lessons you've learned on
Yeah.
your entrepreneurship
Thank
journey.
you. I'll start with the most painful part first, just so people can get a
Okay.
reality check. Um, as a child that was bullied, my confidence was affected all the way to college. That's number one.
Okay.
So when I embarked on the journey of entrepreneurship, the thing that surprised me the most is that I did not know that entrepreneurship was going to be a spiritual journey.
Mm,
What I mean by that is for anyone listening, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about how does Mo deal with challenges? How Mo deals with difficulties? Are you going to quit? Are you going to play the victim card? Or are you going to look for resources? Are you going to reach out to your community to find other ways to pivot and adapt? Because I've heard it said before that one of the best forms of intelligence is the ability to change.
mm,
One of the best forms of intelligence is the ability to change. And to me, that really encompasses what entrepreneurship is about. Because if you let your ego and your comfort zone get in the way, your business will naturally suffer. So that was one of the
mm.
most expensive business lessons that I've been through is that I didn't know that I needed to check myself in the mirror. That I needed to be like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? Like today was a tough day, In another conversation, we can talk about this, but we even had a really dark moment in 2019 where a scammer used stolen credit cards and bought over $30,000 of products from us. And by the time
Wow.
the credit card processing company caught it, he had already escaped and took all the $30,000 worth of products with him. So that would have been a
Wow.
perfect opportunity to quit and close the doors.
Mhm.
Perfect opportunity. So that's one of the most profound lessons for me is before you
Yeah.
embark on this journey, please have a moment with yourself to figure out like what is your why with it, what are your boundaries, how do you cope with challenges, because let me tell you, just like real life, it's not a question of whether challenges will happen or not. It's just a
Right.
matter of time that challenges would happen. And everyone has different sets of challenges. For us, it was the scammer. For you, it might be a different thing. But for anyone listening that's already an entrepreneur or looking to get into entrepreneurship, I mean, please have a moment or some moments to yourself to figure out, okay, right now things are rosy. I'm excited. I got my business cards coming in the mail. I got my website coming up. That's very beautiful and romantic. I must say it that way. But do have some honest conversations with yourself. How will you manage challenges? And who are the
Right.
people around you that you trust that could you could do this journey with, you know? But besides that,
Well, I got
yeah.
another
Hmm.
question about challenges.
Yeah.
Since you're talking about it, like
Hmm.
not just managing it, but like because I imagine when you went through that whole
Yeah.
situation with
Hmm.
the credit card scammer
Hmm.
and so forth, how that must have really shook you up
Hmm.
and left you
Oh
discombobulated
yeah.
and just gasping for like, all right, how am I gonna
Oh
like
yeah.
overcome this? But how do you stay grounded
Yeah.
when things get challenging?
Yeah. So for me, you mentioned this another one of my favorite words that you mentioned earlier. You talked about legacy. For me,
Okay.
I'm in this game because I'm in it for the long haul. If I was only in for profits, we could have automated this business a long time ago, bought a bunch of cheap items from overseas and then just automated online. That would have been a perfect business opportunity. A lot of people do that, you know. But to me, the long-term vision of being looking like the way I look like and knowing where I want to go, there's not a lot of people that look like me. That is what I'm committed to. So the commitment is for the long-term vision. It's not for the temporary profit.
Yeah,
You know, so
understandable.
when your vision is greater than the temporary challenge, it makes it, of course it was challenging, of course. I'm not telling anyone listening to this that it was an easy thing to overcome, but the point is that you have to have a long-term vision that you care more about than the temporary gain, because if the temporary gain is your priority, then most challenges will knock you out the game. Because when you, as you already know, Terrell, you've worked with a lot of different business owners. Most new businesses go out of business within their first couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And it's because they can't withstand the challenging.
Hmm.
And I would say another too, um, and I want to double back to the things you were talking about
Hmm.
earlier when you was like, he's like, oh, I had to check Mo. I had to,
Yeah.
like a lot of certain
Oh
business
yeah.
owners don't check
Oh
themselves to
yeah.
understand who they are personally and how they show up
Yeah.
in business because any flaws you have
Yeah.
in your personal life, it will show up in your business. And
Exactly.
if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you.
Exactly.
And that really takes some time to like, the word that comes to mind for me is mindset. And
Hmm.
like I'm curious for you, what mindset shifts are
Hmm.
necessary for your growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you use the word mindset because I would say that's one of the things that did save me. Beyond my spirituality, I've been listening to personal development, people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins,
Mm.
Jim Rohn, so many different people for many years before I entered entrepreneurship. So if those names are new to you and you're about to go into business, please, um,
All phenomenal days.
exact
Those are all legends. If you want to have a mindset shift, any of those names on that list.
Exactly. So we'll repeat it just in case you didn't catch it the first time. You know, it's
Yeah.
anywhere from Les Brown to John C. Maxwell to Tony Robbins to Zig Ziglar, to so many different people, and even a lot of recent leaders as well. Eric Thomas. So
Mm-hmm.
the truth is, the mindset matters, but it also matters not just in business. You know, we're both married men now. To me,
Mm-hmm.
mindset also matters as a married man, as a father. Like mindset is the foundation. No matter which way you slice it, the way you think and how you see the world will have a lasting impact in everything you do, and entrepreneurship is not an exception to the game.
Yeah. As because we're both in this new season of,
Hmm.
well, I'm a little bit more
Yeah.
seasoned in the marriage and the kid thing, but something you said earlier, you're in the fourth
Yeah.
decade,
Hmm.
or in this next decade and
Yeah.
season of life. So I'm curious now that you got these new things
Hmm.
and you're in this new season,
Hmm.
what does success mean to you now?
Mm. Oh man, success to me now. is having more freedom to look at
Mm,
myself in the mirror and be like, you know what, Mo? Things are not perfect, but you're growing. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. You're not just living for comfortability anymore. You're pushing yourself, you're growing. I can go to bed at night knowing that I at least tried toward my goals. But when I know that Mo didn't even try, when I know Mo just playing scared or he's being hesitant, Taryell, that's the guy that I don't want to see in the mirror. The guy that didn't
mm,
even try, the version of myself that hesitated, you know. But if I tried and I continue to at least make consistent effort toward the man or the business that I want to build, I can go to sleep with that.
nah, I love that. What advice would you give to Black and Pan African entrepreneurs
Mhm.
throughout the diaspora who want to build purpose driven businesses?
Um, that's a beautiful question that I haven't really been asked before, and I am grateful for the opportunity to elaborate on this now. One of the things that's been very consistent throughout my life since I've been in America is somehow, I don't know where it comes from. We can dive into family and other things. But for me, I looked at me as an ambassador for my culture, for my family, for people that look like me at a very early age. Even before I got into fashion, the way I carried myself, man, even in high school, I won best dress and things like that. Because to me, I wanted to shock the world of what they think an African guy is supposed to look like or act like.
Mm,
So for anyone listening to this that's from the similar culture, is please take pride in the way you represent your culture, your nationality, your business, whatever it is that when people see, they're like, man, I haven't met someone like that in a while.
mm-hmm.
You know, I
Yeah.
love shocking the world. They don't know that I speak 6 languages. They don't know that, you know, I've been bullied before. They don't know a lot of things, but I love that positive shock factor for people outside of our culture, because too many people have a limited conceived notion of who we are and how we're supposed to act. So to me, that's my little inner child joy that I get when someone from outside our culture looks at me up and down. They're like, man, he's different. Well, what did you expect?
Yeah. Hey, he is different. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that he does not disappoint. I didn't even know you speak 6 languages. Okay, Mister Kobe Bean Bryant. Like now, I gotta ask, what 6 languages do you speak?
So I speak French. That's my first language. And then I speak,
Uh-huh.
obviously, English. I speak Spanish, and then three different dialects from back home in Guinea.
Oh wow!
Hmm. Yeah.
How many is there more than 3 dialects back
Yeah.
home in Guinea, or
In Guinea, they
is
probably
it?
have at least six total, if I'm not mistaken. Six total.
Like,
Hmm.
wow,
Hmm.
that's impressive,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling to learn one language. I need to get my life together.
It's all good. It's all good. We focus on
How do you?
gratitude, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was just grateful that I know somebody who speaks 6 languages and I can hang out with them if I need to go to any other part of the world that speaks one of those six.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, how do you balance building the brand with building a
Hmm.
legacy? How do you balance that?
Yeah. To me, this is where your word comes back again, where it's alignment. You know,
Hmm.
to me, fashion, as cliche as it sounds, is just an excuse for me to elevate people's lives,
Hmm.
because I don't look at what I do as selling clothes. I look at what I do as selling confidence. You can buy clothes from anywhere.
Yeah.
You can buy clothes from anywhere. But to me, the alignment is when I work with a client, I just love that instant confidence that they get, because I know
Hmm.
if they do that on a weekly base, they do that eventually on a monthly base, it's going to affect their relationships, potentially their careers, and the way they carry themselves. But if someone is listening and they happen to do work that currently doesn't align, because the statistics don't lie, which is that most people, over 60% of Americans, do not like their jobs. It's a fact. So for me, I want to extend my heart out to anyone that's doing what they got to do to pay the bills, and just like I did before I went full time with my business, is at some point figure out what that thing is for you. You know, if you want to start your own podcast, if you want to do something else, you're a painter. That's why these leaders like Les Brown, John C. Maxwell, and Tony Robbins, they always talk about there's a way to transition from where you are and for where you want to be. You don't have to obviously just get up and quit your job today, but there's got to be a healthy transition for you, whatever that means for you. Some people can just go cold turkey and start their business today. But for most of us, similar to me, I stayed at my corporate job for at least 3 years before I went full time with my business. So, whatever that is for you, is that because to me, in my opinion, there's a different part of you that comes to life when you do the thing you love. Because yeah, we're recording this podcast right now, but I bet you, if it wasn't for our different commitments, Terrell and I could have this conversation for hours, and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like work. But the
Yeah.
truth is that's the thing that I want to empower more people to pay attention to how you feel when you do the thing you love. Like, one of my other passions is writing, so we have a sister company where we do life coaching and things. And Terrell, I can't tell you how many times I'm writing or coaching a client, and then I just lose track of time. I
Hmm.
lose track of time. That's one of the common factors around anyone that's doing thing out of love, out of passion. So, to you, for the sake of time, to answer your question in a nutshell, is let's go back to what Terrell said about alignment. Whatever is it that you want to do in life, does it truly align with the core of who you are? Because if it doesn't, it might work temporarily, but long term, something's gonna shake you out the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that to be true from for all
Hmm.
my listeners.
Oh yeah.
Mo just dropped a bunch of knowledge on you, and I'm gonna try to recapture this knowledge for you. Alignment is key.
Yeah.
I remember in my old career when I wasn't in alignment.
Hmm.
When I started the career, I was in alignment because
Yeah.
the company sold me on some values that I
Hmm.
felt were in line with my values. But when I
Hmm.
got in, the values weren't
Hmm.
aligned anymore, and only two things happen when your values and who you are and what really drives you are not
Oh
aligned.
yeah.
Is either you separate from the company or the company will start to separate from you, or that thing that you're doing
Mm.
separates from you.
I love that.
And the reason being is because you are no longer
Yep.
in alignment. And so you're not going to do the thing that somebody is in alignment
Yep.
is going to do.
Yep.
Stay the extra hours, be more passionate,
Yeah.
and so forth. So if fashion is in your alignment, right?
Yep.
No matter what job you have, you should show up the best dressed to that job
Yep.
because fashion is your alignment. And
Yep.
then once you get your chance,
Yep.
you have,
Yep.
put yourself in position. So my listeners, if you're trying to get into the fashion industry and you hear some of the things that Mo's talking about,
Yeah.
I ask you, are you in alignment? Are you building for
Mm. I
speed
love that.
or sustainability?
Yeah.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Are your values reflected in your
Yep.
business?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, legacy is built on intention.
I love that. That's a t-shirt right there, sir.
Hey, what I build here at Rise Urban Show is with intention. What Mo's
I
building with
love that.
Meraki Allure is with
I
intention,
love that.
and there's attention in the
Yes,
details.
sir.
That's why it looks so well.
Just because you said that, I'm gonna figure out a special code for your listeners.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna do
yeah,
that. Something that has
okay. We're gonna get a special code for all
yeah,
my listeners.
I'm gonna text
'Cause
that to you. Something along that has the name Rise. I don't know if it's Rise Together or something, but I'll create a code for your listeners because that bomb that you drop right there, they can use that for so many different parts of their lives if they're open. Because you and I both
Mhm.
know not necessarily everybody's open, but to help add further value, we'll create a special
Slay,
promo code for your listeners.
slay.
Yeah,
I love that because I'm thinking right now because there's a couple of my listeners that I know are about to go to a conference and speak at a place,
yeah,
and they should be taking this code that
yeah,
you're going to give them to update so they can show up differently
yeah,
on stage. That's going to
absolutely.
elevate themselves and elevate their business as soon as they get out on that stage. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You heard it first here.
yeah.
Mo, this has been powerful, man. I could speak to you all day, but you know, as you said earlier,
Yeah.
so if we didn't have other commitments, we'd probably
Exactly.
be here talking for hours.
Exactly.
But I want to say you reminded us that business isn't just about making money; it's about
Mm,
making meaning.
thank you.
Um, and before you go, where can people connect with you, support the brand, and learn more?
Yeah, thank you so much. Everything under every platform is Meraki Allure, Meraki, Allure, ALLURE.com, or you could just Google. And then luckily, you can also Google my name nowadays, which is Mo, M-O, and then Cisse, Cisse. There's only me and then soccer player or a basketball player that shows up. So you can actually Google.
What? This is another.
Yeah.
You famous out here?
Yeah, so thank God after all these years of grinding, you could just Google either Mo Cisse or Meraki Lore, and all of our platforms from YouTube to everything else will show up. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
awesome. Rise Urban Nation family. If this episode resonated with you, make sure you subscribe. Share this with someone building a business. Leave us review because here at Rise Urban Nation, we don't just build businesses; we build legacy.
Mm,
So until next time, I want you to unite, uplift, and ignite each other.
I love that.
Peace.
Thank you.